Welcome back to Roscoe's World Radio. Today we're going to be talking about old Western saloon games. Today we're talking about the 5-card poker. While Faro may have been king, poker was the game that would become the stuff of legend. It was a game of skill, nerve, and deception, where a good hand was nothing without a great bluff. It was a game that would come to define the Old West gambling tables. It wasn't about the luck of the draw, but about reading your opponent, knowing when to fold and when to bluff. 5-card poker was the most common variation of the Old West, was played with 52 card decks. Each player was dealt 5 cards, and then they would take turns betting, raising, or folding. Poker's defining feature was the bluff. A player could have a terrible hand with a good poker face and a confident bet. They could convince their opponent to fold. This added a layer of psychological warfare that was not present in other gambling games. While poker was a game of skill, it was not immune to cheating. Cheaters would use marked cards, steal decks, or use sleight of hand to gain an advantage. Poker was a favorite of card sharks and con men who would travel from town to town taking advantage of unsuspecting players. They were masters of deception, and a good con man could win a fortune. The consequences of being caught cheating were often severe. A cheater could be shot, beaten, or even lynched by an angry mob. The Old West had its own brand of justice, and it was swift and brutal. Wild Bill Hickok, the legendary lawman, was a famous poker player. He was shot in the back of the head while playing a hand of poker. A hand of 2 black aces and 2 black eights wasn't given the name the dead man's hand until decades after Wild Bill Hickok's death. In the very early days of poker in the American West, it was often played with a deck of only 20 cards: ace, king, queen, jack, and 10, and each player was dealt only 5 cards. This made a good hand much more rare and a bluff much more difficult. A subtle prearranged hand signal or nod from a partner was a common way to cheat in poker. To combat this, players often had an unspoken code of conduct. If a player suspected cheating, they would confront the cheater with a specific unspoken signal before pulling his gun. This was a form of silent communication that was well understood at the poker table. The gambling chips we know today were invented in the American West to standardize wagers and prevent disputes over cash. For chips, players would bet with gold dust, coins, and anything else they had. The invention of poker chips stamped with a specific value streamlined the game and made it more fair. Unlike Faro and Bird in the Cage, poker's legacy would endure. Its combination of skill, chance, and psychological warfare made it the game that would survive the Old West and become one of the most popular gambling games in the world. That's all for now. Thanks for listening. This has been Joshua Marchant with Roscoe's World Radio. I'll see you in the next one.